Chris Duffin at Elite Performance Center, and I'm here with Jody Holton, and we're going to show basically some workarounds for dealing with internal rotator cuff impingement. And let's talk about what internal rotator cuff impingement is. So internal rotator cuff impingement is not necessarily a classical powerlifting or strength training injury, but it does happen. It can happen from overhead pressing, but it's really common in like throwing and swimming. It's actually called thrower's shoulder by some. And what it is basically when you're in this overhead pressing position, the impingement is in the shoulder joint itself, so it's different than external impingement. And it's in the glenohumeral joint, and it's actually inflammation where we've got the impingement, we're up against the back of the joint here, of the tendons and muscles that go through the shoulder there. So once those it's like a kissing lesion or something like that. So anytime we go up against that, you're going to get pain. So, want to be clear, you don't want to be self-diagnosing. So if you've got issues or suspect it, see your healthcare practitioner and follow their advice. But I'm going to show you a little bit about one of the ways that it's diagnosed, and that actually leads us to how we're going to try to work around this in our lifting. So it's diagnosed oftentimes in an MRI, but here's another here's way we're going to see. So Jody, let's lay down on the floor here in front of me, and let's shift to the side here. There we go. So as we discussed, once it's in this position here. So here we're internally rotating, and this is where the pain would be. So one of the ways that we could see is basically applying pressure in here, and if that makes this pain disappear, basically we're creating enough space in that capsule to eliminate that impingement. And so essentially we're going to do the same thing. Let's go ahead and stand up, Jody. So in our training, we're basically going to try to create mimic that same thing where we're pulling against that. So I've got my trusty Elite FTS band here. These are a little old and ragged. Tells you how long they last. We've had them forever. And I'm going to be just outside of the joint, almost a little bit on the arm here. And we're going to hook him up on the bench press to eliminate that pain by basically pulling that same thing, creating that space in that joint capsule. Because while it's an overhead pressing, once it's inflamed, as you load down here into the bench press, you can actually cause if you've got that internal impingement, you've got weakness on external rotation, which is what we're trying to do on benching. So one thing, it kind of weakens you trying to get in position, and then so you're not really fully doing that, and it may be pulling the shoulder forward as well as you're loading down into our normal classical bench press position, causing pain. So we're going to go ahead and demonstrate this on the bench press. So honestly, this setup is a little bit of a hassle, but we're talking about the difference between being able to press without pain and further aggravating the problem and not being able to. So it's certainly worth it if you've got this issue going on. So we're going to do it on the incline. The same exact thing can be done on the decline, but you'll notice, actually Jody, can you sit up for just a second? We're going to set this up in such a manner that the bands don't even come over the bench press, because we want a lot of tension right at you don't want it to deload at the bottom. So you want to have tension all the way through the movement. So we've got to make sure that we've got that. So Jody, let's go ahead and have you get in here. Good. So you'll need a partner, obviously. And we're going to get that. Again, you'll see, I've got a little bit basically kind of on the arm, right towards the base of the shoulder here. Boom. Right there. And you should have trouble. It should be working against you, actually, as you pull up. So you feel like it's working against you like a fly. Mm-hmm. And then we've also added this Elite FTS shoulder saver here to further control the motion and keep our shoulders a little bit healthier while we're doing this. So, Jody, I'll let you go ahead and demonstrate here. And so you don't want to be, if you're still having pain doing this, don't continue. This is supposed to be a workaround. May not be the full solution for everyone, but definitely worth sharing. It actually feels like a pretty good workout in itself, doesn't it, Jody?
Yeah.
It's actually it's a pretty unique way of lifting. Hits the pecs a little bit more, deloads the triceps. You definitely want to be mixing in more tricep training if you're doing it in that manner. But it really balances actually out the lift pretty well.